Hello, everyone, and thank you again for joining us for our biweekly AMA. Uh, my name is Gary Bard. I am the CEO of Steam Exchange. Today we have a different style of AMA. We are missing one of our colleagues. Anki is on vacation, but we do have his counterpart here. Without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Chris to get going with our AMA today. Chris, floor is yours, sir.
Okay. For those who don't know me, my name is Chris Beckford. I am the acting vice president and head of infrastructure here at Steam Exchange. So again, thank you guys for joining. I will be providing more of an infrastructure update a little bit. But what I would like to do here is open up the floor to Neville first to take us through our operational update. And then we'll, after that, we'll swing into some marketing and then infrastructure. Take it away, Neville. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Hey, everyone, Neville here. Thank you guys for joining the AMA. So just to kick it off with some operations stuff, it's been a while since we got into any kind of fun details about the operations silo. So here we go. I just want to talk a little bit about our partnership with the University of Waterloo. There's a lot of questions we see come up in the chat about what it entails. And, we had our kickoff meeting earlier this week. So I want to give you the full in-depth rundown of what went down during that meeting and what's to come as far as a timeline perspective on the gamified learning. So firstly, the teams that are involved, the Steam Exchange full team involvement. All of us are on board. All of us are meeting with Waterloo in some form or fashion. So for the most part, each and every single one of us have input and each and every one of us attend the meetings. From the Waterloo side, there's 3 professors. So there's one professor that's overseeing the project, and then 2 professors that are overseeing the student. The student itself is a PhD level student. They just started their PhD at the University of Waterloo, and the department that we're specifically working with at Waterloo is the Stratford School of Interaction, Design, and Business. So just to start it off, we identified 3 objectives through our collaboration and research together for months and months and months, right? So this is months in the making. This all stemmed back when, Chris first announced the University of Waterloo, I would say back in September last year, maybe a little bit earlier. So the 3 objectives that we identified, number 1 is to research the attitude and sentiment of investors towards crypto, conduct a few surveys and do some follow-up interviews. Objective number 2, design of all the gamified elements, all the material, the test material, and the content. And then objective 3 is the evaluation of experienced investors in gamified learning. So once the game is in production in some form or fashion, we will have a beta, and the evaluation of the participants in that beta would be similar to objective 1 to see how their sentiments and attitudes have changed. So the data from Objective 1 it has to be submitted for review via an ethical application. So that's going to go to the Ethics Review Board at the university. The results of that research is going to be published during the CHI Conference 2022 in September. The CHI Conference is an event for CHI managers from around the world to gather and share their ideas and best practices. Some of the preliminary timelines. The ethics application is to be submitted to the Ethics Review Board ahead of all the research elements being published. We're looking at end of July to mid-August for that. The research elements completed for the actual publication should be done by September, just ahead of the CHI conference. The first iteration of the AI should be implemented for beta testing by the end of September. So once the research is done, once the ethical application is approved, we should have level 1, which will be Introduction to Digital Assets, ready for beta testing. For Objective 1, which is the research of the sentiment and attitudes of investors, we're going to open it up to the community. So depending on how many resources are required by the university for this research practice, we're going to do a poll or a form for you to opt in with, and you may be contacted by the professor and or the student for an interview and a short survey. So if anyone's interested in joining that initiative, for sure, we encourage it. It has nothing to do with Steam Exchange. It has everything to do with cryptocurrency, digital assets in general. So there's no concern of being biased. There's no, shielding of Steam Exchange. It's just your experiences within the crypto ecosphere, and basically they're looking at the before and after snapshot. It's likely that if you opt in for the research element and you're selected, you'll also be selected for the beta testing of the gamified learning level 1. After that, our meetings, we're looking to have preliminary meetings bi-weekly with the university for the preliminary stages, and then we're going to ramp up as we get closer to the CHI conference. Some of us will be attending to represent Steam Exchange and the Waterloo Partnership, and that's about it from the partnership perspective. It's extremely exciting. At first we definitely we're excited to have one professor and one student, but then we've gauged the interest of 2 other professors. So now we have 3 professors overseeing the Waterloo side of development, along with the 1 PhD level student. When we first started negotiations, it was a third year, student at the University of Waterloo. But based on the requirements and the level of research required, that had upgraded to a PhD level student at the University of Waterloo. So a lot of fun stuff coming. Definitely looking forward to the beta testing of level 1, which we did mention would be around the end of September. So with that, Enki is not with us today. He, as Gary mentioned, he is on vacation. So I will pass it back to Chris and Gary for an infrastructure update. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. All right. So I don't need to introduce myself again. My name is Chris. And what I kind of want to touch base on a little bit is about our development journey from an infrastructure perspective, right? As you guys all know, we're definitely at a very special and unique journey within our development, where all the towers all the towers. With that being said, all of our exchange options is in terms of the DEX and the SEX, the area ball, the NFT gateways, the launchpad. Even on the gamified front of it as well too, right? We're at a very unique junction where things will start to meet crossroads. And with that being said, this coming Monday, we do have a rather large meeting with our senior development teams and our leadership teams as well too, whereby we'll be discussing the upcoming phased project. And just want to say one more time, the phased project launch for the products, right? And what that means is that obviously over the next coming days, we will have our heads down, because our goal will be to release more of a refined, not really a roadmap, but more of a refined outlook of how these projects will be released into our ecosystem and what capacity these said products will be available in, right? And in terms of capacity, what we're going to be looking to do as well too is release what features will be available again in what capacity, right? Now, this is always and will continue to be, about us putting our best foot forward. Not just us as in us, the core team, but as well the development team and our community members as well too, right? Because we've always said we don't want to be here for a year or 2. We're trying to be here for an extremely long time, right? If not forever, right? But what is forever? With that being said, our ecosystem, this is how we're developing and releasing the products in our ecosystem, with extreme emphasis, obviously, on scalability, longevity, and security. We do understand that there's been a lot of questions about quote unquote when launch. And we definitely feel that once we do provide this outlook to you for our product release, it will become a little bit more clear and evident how we will be opening up the floodgates per se to you guys. And we're definitely looking forward to, you guys getting your hands on some of these here. So, from an update perspective, unfortunately, we're not bringing anything to the table today to display from a demo perspective. But with that being said, we'll definitely have some more in the coming weeks, demos and updates on the NFT gateway, the launchpad, and some other advancements that we've made. But more importantly, the next AMA will be likely to be focused and zooming in on this product release. And I think that's the big ticket item in everybody's hand and everybody's head, wanting to understand kind of how we're peeling back the layers of this orange and making it readily available to you. Gary, did you want to add anything over there, sir?
No, you're good. So like Chris mentioned, well, I guess if you want me to sum it up, I can sum it up. Monday is a big one. A lot of things are meshing up. Once they start meshing up is when we're going to have a better, because like we said before, a lot of things are clear, but some things you only come across during testing, right? And once certain things become more clear, we will update you guys as to what's required there, how long what is going to take, and we'll have a more precise timeline for you guys, and Chris will develop the timeline that will be subsequently updated on the website. I think that's the major takeaway there, and then obviously we'll release a form of public test version, and just to have it more kind of laid back. What do you guys think? You think we could release what portions of it prior to the whole thing being meshed together, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what we did talk about that as well too, releasing the portion, and then what we will be doing first is looking to our community members, because obviously through everything that our community has been through with us in this market, and given all the circumstances, it'd be only fitting that our community gets the first glance at the look and feel, and being able to play and interact with the products, and then from there, then we kind of open it up more and more.
So I think that would be the ultimate way to go about it, right? Like, obviously, I'm going to go over this one more time. We've mentioned that 85% is done. We have 15% left, and I did mention previously, and I think I went into detail about it, that sometimes that 15% takes longer than the 85%. We are hoping that is not the case with us. We have a great team of developers, which recently even grew to a larger team. So we don't see it dragging out, other than perhaps something unforeseen in the world happens. As we've mentioned before, we will take into account all factors, not just the development factor itself. So, for instance, market factors and what's going on around us, from all aspects, really. And we'll make the best decision that we can make for our community, right? And we're obviously going to share our discoveries with you and what we find. As you guys know, we're fully transparent, and we will continue to be fully transparent in such manner. Have I missed anything there?
No, I think both of you summed it up pretty well. Just wanted to point out one more thing, and again, it just ties into the strength and the resilience of the community. We are approaching our 1-year anniversary. As a team, our 1-year anniversary is coming up in a couple of weeks. But as a project, our first official launch happened in about a month and a bit. So just to put some statistics on that, they say only 15% of projects make it to their first year. So big thank you to you guys, the community, for your resilience and your patience with us. I definitely hope, to continue seeing you guys in the chats, continue with the, all the little hashtags you guys throw out there throughout the day, all the GIFs, whatever it is. We see it and we definitely appreciate it. So hang in there.
Since we're doing thank yous, I wanna thank you guys, really. Like, while I have everybody here listening, so nobody says I never thanked you guys. Thank you guys for tolerating me, because when we first started this whole, at first it was a project before it became a company, right? One major thing to point out: we're not a project, we're a company. And right before we started, before I said, okay, guys, everybody agrees to put their names together on the same piece of paper, I warned you guys that I'm not the easiest individual to deal with on this planet, and I'm very picky. And to further what you said, I guess, yeah, it takes a lot to stick together. But I just want to thank you guys, because it does take a lot more to stick together with me. So you guys have really shown your resilience. Thank you guys for sticking by me this far, and continuing on, obviously.
All love, my good man. All love, as always.
So, Neville, is Virov's counterpart around?
He's not. I do have the marketing update, but I wouldn't do it justice. So,
okay,
let's reserve it.
You want to save it?
Yeah, we won't save it till the next AMA. We'll save it till Virov and Jamal are both online. and we can maybe do an impromptu voice chat with them to talk about what they want to do.
Speaking
But
of
it's definitely
improv, yeah, go on.
Yeah, I will say though, it is definitely out there in the form of I haven't ever seen this done before, and the people involved are in the area where this is going to take place is definitely big people. So again, I don't want to give any false, justice to what's going to happen or what's going to happen with this marketing effort, but it is exciting. I will say that.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Okay, so I was gonna say that I was going to potentially do later on improv of what happened there? Improv of type of AMA for I don't know what's going on there. Type of AMA for my computer's crashing. Sorry. For the one I did last time, got some good feedback on it, and was thinking of possibly doing that again for the community at a little bit of a later point there. So maybe later on today or tomorrow, if the community wants. And that was the difference between what is an AMM and how we're going to be different once we're off of the AMM and on the exchange. And that was for later on, right?
Yeah, I just want to before we get into questions, I just want to touch on one that popped up in the chat from John. He was just asking, the phase test launch would be both swaps both swaps or trading platform. What are you guys thinking along those lines? So, like Gary mentioned, and also Chris mentioned, we do have an all hands on deck meeting on Monday with all the development teams. And during that meeting, everyone's going to kind of bring together their progress, where they are, what their outlook is on each module, and then we're going to then Chris is going to go ahead and create that release plan for you guys. So hang in there. I would say sometime next week we should have some more information on how we're going to proceed, and we'll get into that launch plan with you guys.
Yep, and again, just to reiterate, it's not just about launching things in its totality, right? It's about how we're going to be launching in the phase, and there will be explanations as to why we're kind of peeling back those layers. And bear in mind that per release there might be limited capacity on functionality, or I should say there might be things that might not be ready at that junction. So we'll do just in terms of making sure that we have the explicit call outs to those, which would again give an explanation as to why we're peeling back those layers in such a manner.
And guys, so the website I'm showing you guys right now, this is the old one. The new one, we're overhauling the server just so we can handle a higher volume. So this website is gonna go offline very shortly. By the end of the weekend. And then similar to this section, we'll have a new section where Chris will plug in the rest of the deliverables. And we'll have the latest designed website by Neville put up online. Okay, guys, so if you guys still wanted to take a look at it, use the old one. The new one is currently, if you guys remember, it was dev.steamexchange.ca. That's currently offline. We're overhauling the server itself, and then we'll put it back online, but it will be online on the main address. So that address will no longer be in use. And I think that would sum it up, guys, for now. Unless I'm missing something. Am I missing something here, guys?
No, sir. I think we're good to go into some Q&A.
Okay, guys. Let's open up the floor as always. Thank you, guys. Once again, thank you for tolerating me. Just another thank you, guys. And, someone doesn't like me. Sorry. All right. Q&A. Anybody have any questions? As always, please do pick up your hand. Say hello. Don't be shy. And we'll give you the floor ask away. So what's going on? You usually jump up first.
Maybe we can look through the chats if there's anything floating around.
Yeah, I'm taking a look right now. Yeah. Oh, ISO is cooking. Okay, sir. I don't know what you're cooking, but I hope it's tasty. How far along is the trading platform? John is asking, and Neville, it is directly specifically over to you, sir.
I think that's a question better suited to you and Gary. You and Chris.
Yeah, I'll take that one here. So, if we're looking at it from a percentage perspective, we're extremely close, right? I would peg us probably in the high 80s to low 90s percentage wise. Right now, it's more or less around the integration, right? And I think that's the biggest piece in terms of how we release it. And then obviously behind that, there's some additional stuff as well too, right? So in its totality, from a development perspective, we're literally right there, knocking on the door to close completion. But with completion, then behind that, there's obviously still activities as well, right? So I think, again, if you guys stay tuned for that phased launch approach, it will make a little bit more sense in terms of how we're phasing out these products and availability. And the overall readiness to the community to kind of get their hands on these products and start to kind of tap into them. And hopefully that answers your question.
Beautiful. And Sir Dega was asking if we started testing for different resolutions and different devices. It is not a priority when you are developing stuff. It's one of the last things on the list. We are actively fixing anything that we do notice when it comes down to the app. But if you're talking about the website, well, because it's currently offline in itself, because we are redoing the server itself, whatever we saw, whatever we could fix at the time while it was online, we fixed. Anything further will be fixed as we go along. It is not per se on our top priority. So Yank, any news from the team there? As you know by now, we don't talk about that. They have asked us that we don't come out and say anything because there are nefarious people out there that will try and damage something by saying something that's completely untrue. And last time that cost us a pretty penny, and they had to spend a few hours on debunking what somebody made, which was a bogus complaint. And therefore they asked us not to talk about it until it's done, as well as certain community members do seriously believe in something like bad juju, and those have voiced their opinion on the matter as well, and requesting not to mention it. So we're going to respect everyone's opinion in lieu as well of not costing ourselves company-wise, extra money, and in lieu of not having bogus complaints that we have to deal with as well, because obviously that takes, more so time to deal with not than the money, right? It's the time that you can't get back. Money you can always make more. Time, well, time is limited.
Yeah, even it's let me add on to that too, because it's not just about the time as well too, right? All these engagements that the team's working on in the back end, it's about building relationships and rapport. And at times through some of these nefarious activities, relationships and trust and stuff like that gets tarnished, right? So it ends up hurting not just us, but everybody more so over, right? So something to keep in mind when, if you ever get the itch to be malicious. This is more damage than anything. Well, we understand that, you might want that to be that extra careful or extra sure. Just keep that in the back of your mind.
Right on. Let's see. Do you see anyone with their hand up? I don't say. I don't. Guys, don't be shy. Ask away. It doesn't have to be in particular to a subject that we've discussed in this AMA right here, right now. It could be something that we've discussed before. If you're new to the group here and you haven't watched all the AMAs on our YouTube, I understand. We completely get you. We suggest that you take some time aside, perhaps on the weekend if you have some time, and watch some of our previous AMAs on our YouTube channel. It's got a lot of information. It's really packed nicely, and I think you'd be pleasantly surprised with what you find. It's really important to remember, guys, we're not a project. We are a company. I see a lot of people asking the word Fast and Nefarious and Dr. Nefaria Flynn.
There is
You
one
guys are
question.
funny.
There's one
Yeah,
question in
go
the
ahead.
chat from Stephen. Did you have a chance to take a look into the rough numbers for Masternode rewards? So for that,
We did, yeah.
yep, we did, but we're also going to continue doing so. So we are going to go. We're confident in a lot of the numbers that we brought to the table. We are taking some of it back to the drawing board. So you should have an update on, I guess, rewards sooner than later, I would say.
Let's just be careful when we say drawing board. We're not reinventing the equation.
Correct.
We're just
Correct, yeah.
recalculating based on everyday events and where the market is.
Correct.
Sorry,
I think
continue. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what we are confident is the initial supply, and a couple of the other elements that we talked about. Some of the things that we are taking back and looking at based on market conditions and market events is the inflation rate and also the size of the rewards. So hang in there. We will have more concrete numbers, not yet set in stone because everything is subject to change, but more concrete than we are today.
And I know it's the best way to describe it, guys, but when we say inflation rate, we don't mean inflation rate like that. It's amount that gets generated, and that amount doesn't actually affect the price of the coin. And this ties into the improv voice chat that was done before, and a lot of people asked for it again. I'm thinking maybe this weekend, maybe later on tonight, I'll open up the chat. If you guys are here, whoever is here, you're more than welcome to hop in at any time, and I'll give a more in-depth explanation, just like last time, about the main difference. What is the main difference? What really happens when we switch from being on an AMM and going over to a proper exchange, right? Not to forget the fact that other exchanges will then also be able to theoretically list us with our permission. It's a major difference in how price is calculated and how it works. I think it's worth to listen to, and even though it was recorded, it was not a recording that was shared. So if you go on YouTube, you will not find it. You literally have to come by again and listen to it. Okay, guys. If I do it tonight, I'll drop a message in the chat. If not, I'll try to do it this weekend. It's quite a listen to. It's worth knowing how it happens, and it's not very common that you have a BSC token that goes through the conversion of becoming an actual coin. So, anything else in the chat? Let's just see. Chris, Neville, you guys have any questions somebody sent you over?
Nothing personally.
Yes. So
Yeah,
in
someone
the
in the chat.
Mark sent us some questions from John. This is directly to Gary Bard. Will you guys phase without blockchain fully ready and go with just trading and swaps? And then a second question, I guess, which ties in from John is, are we going to go with a phase launch of just the DEX, or is it going to include the centralized exchange?
Right. So this is a really packed, loaded, I should say, question. We'll see what happens, and there's a lot of factors at play. We definitely could do it step by step. We always explain to you guys that everything we've created and are still currently in the process of creating is modular. What does that mean? It means that they could very well individually come to life and be launched and become live. However, they do mesh together and operate better together. So yes, they are capable of operating on their own as independent modules of our company, but they do work better together and they are meant to work better together. If we have to, if something is incomplete, for instance, we could come to the conclusion, again, depending on many other variables, we could come to the conclusion that, okay, we'll release one or two or three or what have you amount of modules that are ready to be released out into the wild, and the rest will tag along whenever they're ready. So I hope that answers your question there. What was the other one there, Neville?
I think you got both.
Oh, okay. 2 for 1. My bad.
Okay, so Bano's asking about the metal debit cards. So the metal debit cards, they will definitely come probably after we launch. Those are definitely beyond stage 3 elements that we did not bring forward into stage 3 like we did with the NFT gateway and the launchpad. But yeah, I guess we could talk about that, what we have in mind, maybe not today, but in another subsequent AMA.
I think we know they work, and I think that because we've developed so much further than where we were when we first coded these up and tested them, I think it's worth reprocessing that thought on whether or not we're going to offer particular features to them where it just takes it from, because the funds have to come from somewhere, right? Whether it takes it from one place or another, or how exactly it's going to operate, because there are now more options at hand rather than what we had before. So to further what you're saying, yeah, I think this deserves its own somewhat AMA. Oh, I see one hand up from Manuel. Manuel, we still have a few minutes here. You are welcome to speak, sir.
Thank you very much. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate what you guys are doing. I really want to quickly ask, I was already typing on the chat when you call on me. I want to find out, please, that after migration to the exchange platform, are the community having any form of advantage on any new project that are to be listed on the exchange?
So if you're trying to compare us to a launchpad that everybody knows of, in that sense, we are against the philosophy of that. So we want everybody to have the same opportunity across the board in that sense, right? We don't want someone to benefit solely from that, because what happened with that launchpad, it's kind of sad. It only benefited the community members of that launchpad and nobody else, right? And it really is damaging to any project that launches on that type of launchpad. Neville, did you want to go into detail perhaps on why that is not the direction that we want to go with, and we would leave it open for everybody that's on our blockchain and using our coin?
For sure. It ties into the learning modules, right? And we mentioned that one of the rounds of the launch, a project launch, would be or could be qualified investors only. So instead of incentivizing someone who invested in our token just for the purposes of participating in a pre-sale, we would incentivize people who are part of our ecosystem who took the time to go through our learning modules and get that accredited investor status. So what that does is what that does is it allows for the project owner who's going to be launching that project to feel confident in knowing that the investors that are investing in their project know what they're doing, number one. And then number two, have done adequate research based on what they've learned through our learning modules. So we didn't like the, like Gary mentioned, other platforms kind of shilling themselves for the purposes of investment. Right. Of course, we would love for everyone to hold SteamX, which they inevitably would if they would take part in the launch of that project. But we were more focused on the end users learning and making sure that they know what they're doing. We're kind of opposite in that aspect, right? So I'm pretty sure you've noticed by now, we put a lot of focus, a lot of resources into the learning modules. We're one of the only projects that I know of, or organizations that I know of, in this space who's working with top tier universities, right? I mentioned earlier, we went from 1 professor to 3, and we have interest from other Canadian universities to join in on that project, on that initiative, because it's being recognized that is a gap. And, we're probably one of the only ones that are looking to bridge that gap.
And you get investors when they come, they're not looking to dump that said project, wherever is launching, at the 3-point mark, right? At the 3-minute mark, sorry, just to make $1 and run away. It's not what they're there for. They at that point have become accredited investors, and they understand that, whatever's launching on our launch pad, on our blockchain, is not a pump and dump project. They're buying it because they understand that they're investing in something, right? Whatever that project may be. And they're not there simply to come in and sell and flip it after 3 minutes and basically using that project, whether it be good or bad, nobody cared at that point. They just used it and dumped it. So we're not about that. We're not like that. That's not going to work on our launchpad, right? That's one of the main differences.
This is great. This is great to hear that. Thank you so much. I also want to really quickly find out from you, when are we expecting the video for the mining?
So actually, I didn't notice that the third video didn't upload for that computer. I did upload it. It's there. It's tagged in with that pin. So all 3 videos are up there. That is the basic construction of a computer. The only difference for the mining part is you just add a video card, whether it be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 8 of them, or even 19 you can put in. That would be in itself a separate video, and I will make one such video for Steam Exchange for you guys here to look at and study from. But the basics of it is still a computer. And so what I've done is I had to build a computer for somebody, so I've dropped it down, cut it down to 3 videos. They're very basic, straight to the point. Really all there is to it is that. Beyond that, you just need to install the operating software. So whatever you choose, Windows or whatever other mining software you want to choose, go ahead and install it, and that's it. That I specifically left out. Only thing in those videos is how to build a computer and how to put it together. And as you can see, it's nothing too dangerous or nothing hard, right? And I understand that some people might be having a few difficulties with it and might be hard for them, but I'm here to tell you that no problem. Drop a question in the chat, and I'm sure I'm not going to be the only one to take care of that question and help you guys out building one out. So don't worry about it. We'll make sure that you learn how to do it in the coming weeks.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I feel like I missed a question there in the chat. We can definitely do another 1 or 2 questions.
So there's a question from Sir Digga. For the university modules, will the students learn about the Rails network, or is it more about understanding crypto as a whole?
So I guess go over what the university is really doing with us again, Neville, because this question kind of tells me that maybe there's not a good understanding of what we're doing with the universities.
So the university is going to be working on the AI elements of the game. So they're going to be doing research on the topics. So we have those 5 topics that we mentioned previously, and they're going to use that research for their publication, and then also use that research to generate databases of knowledge for the game. So the learning would be specific to understanding digital assets. There will be just one module specific to our ecosystem. Everything else will be general crypto knowledge for you to qualify yourself as an investor.
Right on. So that's the university, and then the college.
Yeah, and the college is working on the game design. So Sheridan College is working with us on designing the game, the elements of the game, the mechanics of the game. And then, as I just mentioned, University of Waterloo, the 3 professors and the PhD student will be working on the AI elements that's going to drive the game. So when I say AI, actually, like it's, we can touch on that a little bit. So the game I mentioned in the last AMA is not going to be cookie cutter in the sense that everyone's journey will be the same. So, your Gary and I may have 2 completely different learning journeys. Gary may be a master at mining and maybe lacking on some of the digital asset stuff, whereas I could be opposite. So my learning will be catered to what I need to know and what I need to brush up on. And as you progress through these levels, you'll be graded for each level, and your average score will determine whether you are a qualified investor or an accredited investor. If you're not that top tier status of accredited investor, you're going to be able to go back into each level and brush up on what you did not understand truly or fully, and re-challenge the boss in the boss levels to up your score and to push you over that threshold. So it's not a one and done. You can always go back and you can always continue learning.
I think I'm gonna have to go in a database every time you pass a level and zero you out. So you can continue learning the same thing.
I'm probably going to be
I
the
don't
one
see any
creating
more
those
questions.
databases, buddy. So I think I'll be pretty versed.
I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. I'm just messing with you. All right, guys. I think I don't see any more hands up. I don't see any more hands down. I don't see any hands anywhere, actually. And I think that's it for the questions there. Again, it's a pleasure to have you guys here every other week. Thank you guys for joining us for another exciting AMA. We hope to see you on the next one. And in between that, I will open up another voice chat. I suggest you guys join it. When I do, I will be explaining the difference of our token being on an AMM and then upgrading our token over to a coin, and how financially that actually works and what transpires and why is that really, really, really important for you, and how it affects the price.
Cool. Thanks, Gary, for that. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We definitely look forward to speaking in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Cheers.